Hi, everyone. A very good evening and welcome to yet another session on our Edelweiss Connect Classroom series. As usual, we would first like to thank you for your patronage and your active participation. We also genuinely hope that the sessions that we've been doing are aiding and helping you in your investment journey. Today, the topic that we have chosen to showcase to you is called 10 Steps to Create a Successful Financial Plan. Financial planning has been quite a buzzword in finance since a lot of time. But unfortunately, what's also true is that not many of us have devoted the time and effort that is required to create a financial plan. Perhaps this is because we find that financial planning as a process is very boring, cumbersome, binding, perhaps difficult, or even time consuming. Hence, for a lot of us, we think that it's best to avoid it. Today, to be very honest, my endeavor is going to be to showcase simple and easy to deploy steps, which we can do very easily and readily. As usual, please post your questions and queries in the chat box, and I will respond to each one of them towards the end of our session. Okay, so on that note, let us begin. And let us begin by first talking about what is a financial plan. Sorry. A financial plan is basically a document that details my current financial situation and helps me establish my short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals or requirements. It helps me in deducing ways to meet all these needs or goals, assess my current and future financial income, and also helps me during the course of my journey to reduce my debt. And how does it help me reduce my debt? It helps me reduce my debt through some prudent income and expense management. Right? It helps me get some kind of a guideline of what I should be doing and how I should be looking at, tracking my progress to ensure that over my period of investment journey, I not only am able to have the money for my future requirements and goals, but somewhere I'm also reaching a situation where I am feeling that I'm in control of my finances. So that's how powerful actually a financial plan can be, right? What are its benefits? To be obviously, if we can instill a degree of financial discipline and follow a guideline or a process to reach our financial goals, it would have innumerable benefits, right? But some of the more pronounced ones are, it first helps me improve my own understanding of my financial circumstances. Many of us, actually do not have an idea of our finances. And this, very honestly, in hindsight, more often than not, creates a problem. Knowing your current financial situation is a very critical component for your own financial security. So that's the first thing. The second, obviously, it enhances the probability of you achieving your financial goal. You thought of a goal, you think of a goal, you thought of a goal, you plan for it. By just doing something like this, that I'm planning for something, the probability of me achieving it goes up. Right? I'm sure we will all agree with this. So I mean, if I actually put my mind towards getting somewhere, there is a high probability that I am now knowing where I need to reach, rather than me not knowing. then, any milestone or anything is something which either I'll be prepared for or I'll not be prepared for. But if I think about something and I create a plan that how will I get there, that by itself increases my probability of achieving it. And because I've, thought of my future financial requirements, devise a strategy, to achieve it, I'll be better placed, and this will help me keep out of financial trouble. It will help me reduce my stress levels that I would usually feel if I am unprepared. Right, because if I'm unprepared and there are unplanned or unthought of financial requirements, I may have the money for it, or I may not have the money for it, and that adds to my levels of stress, doesn't it? But if I'm prepared, if I think of what are my requirements, and I'm able to plan better for it, I'm able to ensure that I have devoted resources to achieve it, my levels of stress will get down. And that by itself, should be a very, very strong reason for me to look at having a financial plan. If you think that you cannot do it on your own, I would think that it's best to get help by an expert. But genuinely, I would suggest all of us that we must please work towards creating a financial plan, because this is a very, very important element for each one of us to ensure that we not only reach our goals, but we are better prepared and not adding to our already high levels of stress. So that's why you should have it. Now, 10 steps, so these are our 10 steps. I mean, we will look at each one of them in detail also in subsequent slides. But if I were to just tell you, the first thing is obviously setting your goals, prioritizing them, organizing your financial records, knowing what is your income and expenses. If there are any expenses which you should cut down on, then we need to do that. It's important that I know what my financial status is, then rethinking your goals, doing your research, creating a financial plan, sticking to your plan, and being flexible. So what are the elements in each one of these steps is something which I would be discussing in the next subsequent slides. Let's start with the first one, is setting your goals and prioritizing them. The first step obviously is to know your goals, the why in your investing. Why am I investing? A lot of people invest. I have some spare money. I think I should invest. And I do that. But if I know why, that actually really helps, right? I mean, it's like, I've given this example in some of our previous sessions also. It's like, you are traveling without knowing a destination, without knowing where do you want to reach. You don't have a destination in mind. You may enjoy the journey for some time, but reaching that destination is what gives you the most happiness, because you arrived. So knowing the why, and obviously then how will you use your realized money is very, very important, right? I suggest, what we should all do, is write down on a piece of paper what your future financial requirements or goals are in the short term, medium term, long term. Short term would ideally be, between the 1.5, 2 year category. Anything between 2 to 5 years can be a medium term. Anything beyond 5 years and above should be considered as long term, or just a number. Okay, just write everything down. Whatever you think you would be spending money on. And once you write all of these down, the next step is to create a priority, that this is my first priority, this is my second priority, this is my third priority, whatever it may be. But write that down. The reason why I'm saying is because, when you will start writing, you would also notice that not all goals come with the same importance. Some I may want to do, some may even be aspirational that I would wish to do. But that's perfectly fine. The first task is that we should all note down what my future financial goals and requirements and aspirations, whatever it may be, are. And then second task is obviously, putting a priority number that this is number one. It could be anything. It could be that I want to buy a car in the next 2 years. That's my number one thing because that's something which I have been waiting for. Or it could be that my number one would be my child's education, or it could be that number one would be, retirement, or, this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, it doesn't matter, but prioritize them. So you know what your priorities are. That's the first step. Okay. So please, I would genuinely urge all of us to take a pen, paper, and, do this activity for your own self. First step. Next is, look at organizing your financial records. How many bank accounts do we have? Do we really need all of the bank accounts that we have, or should we consolidate? You obviously will have investments already, right? So where all have you invested? Start putting that down in a single sheet, collate them down. Now, why should you collate them down? Collate all of them in a single sheet is because this helps in better tracking. It becomes very easy for you to see, oh, this is your, I have this investment, so in the last 5 years, this I've just started. This is an investment which is yielding me so much. If you know how much are you getting, it helps you track. It helps you know what is the progress. It helps you know what is the performance. Knowing what your money is doing for you is a very, very important aspect. So organize your financial reports. That's the second step. Third is, noting down your income and expenses. I'll be very honest, this is very important, but unfortunately, not many of us are doing it for various reasons, but tracking your income and expenses gives you a very, very strong handle in knowing your finances and aids your financial discipline. Tracking my income and expenses help me better evaluate what is my percentile of savings from my income. From this percentage of savings, how much am I investing? It gives me a better control on my finances. And that really helps me to know what next do I have to do. So genuinely, I would say, for the next 1 month, if you don't know all your expenses, or the next 2 months, 3 months, whenever you spend any money, just note it down in a piece of paper, so that you know where all are you spending. It's very, very important. We all know how much are we getting, right? If I'm a professional, I know what my salary number is. If I'm a business person, I may be taking something out, whatever it may be. So income, that way, we all would know how much am I earning, but where all am I spending? Some will be obviously important expenses, some will be discretionary, non-discretionary, some will be things which I think I could avoid it. But all of that is secondary. First is tracking it down. So start tracking your income and expenses. Okay, do this activity. Genuinely, if you really want to instill a degree of financial discipline, you want to be in better control of your finances, tracking your income and expenses is a very, very important component and a crucial component for us to be able to do that. So that's your next step. Next, obviously, is once you start noting down all your expenses, it's very natural for all of us. When we look at those expenses, there will be a lot of expenses, or some expenses at least, which we will think that they are either unnecessary or higher than necessary. But that will only happen when I track. So the idea obviously is that if I think that this is an unnecessary expense that I'm making, then I should obviously then look at cutting it out. Now, the benefit of this cutting out is very simple. If I cut this out, automatically I will see my savings number going up. And because now my savings number is going up, my percentage in investment, or my investment number, can also go up. It's a direct simple correlation, right? But this will only happen if you first track your expenses. So track your expenses, evaluate, are all of these expenses apt? Are all of these expenses necessary? I'm not being judgmental over here. This is for you yourself to do. If you think that I'm spending higher on let's say travel, then I should. Then obviously, I would want to cut it out to a certain extent because I can or I should. If there are alternate ways in which I can save some money, and that's perfectly fine and doable, should I not be doing it? Because the minute you start doing that, you will have more money to invest, and that will then in turn help you reach for your goals or invest and reach for your future goals. One more thing which we should all do is we should check our financial status. What is your current financial situation? You should analyze and forecast any improvement in your financial income. Check your credit score and make sure it's accurate. A lot of times there may be things which are there which may be pushing your credit score down, which may need correction. But I will be only able to do that if I check and know that is this an accurate credit score or no. These checking your financial status, help in being better equipped and aware. And this then helps me in developing a more comprehensive plan, which will help me in reaching for my long-term financial goals and success. See the first 5 steps. Okay. Once you do these first 5 steps, the 6th step is rethinking your goals. Now that we've done the first 5 steps, we should go back to our goal sheet where we've written, all our goals and prioritized them. There is a very high probability that during this exercise, there'll be certain, level of financial discipline and awareness, which will automatically be something which I'll build. And this will then automatically make me reprioritize my goals. I'm not saying that this will definitely happen, but there is a high probability that something like this will happen. And if that happens, you need to reprioritize that. Earlier I was thinking in the next 2 years, I want to buy a car, but now I think that more than a car, I need to start looking at, ensuring that I have adequate for my child's education, because I already have a car and this car can run for 5 years more. So I don't need to change in the next 2 years. So rethinking your goals is a very, very important element. So now that you finally reprioritized or now, prioritized again, or maybe it's the same thing that you had done earlier, then these are the only ones which remain the same priority. Once you know what are your future financial requirements or goals, you start conducting your research. You start looking at what are my investment options in terms of various asset classes, instruments, what are the levels of risk, what are the current market trends, are people, investing more in real estate, are people investing more in, equity and equity related instruments, what are the current market trends, what are the probable returns from these instruments, all of these, when I start doing my research, they add to my level of comfort and confidence, which help me be better prepared. Point to note over here that is very, very important is we should all remember that I may not know all that's happening in the market, and which is true for all of us. So you may want to talk to people, if you need any help. But that will only happen once you also are making an effort. That will make your conversations more enriching, more focused. Because I have read this, what is your thought? That takes me somewhere where we can come to a consensus. So you should also do your own little bit before talking, is what I would also highly recommend. Once you do your research, then you move to creating a financial plan. Now, you link your research to your own risk appetite, your own future requirements. Again, relook at what are the asset classes and investment vehicles or investment instruments that you have chosen. Out of these, which are those ones which you think do not fit into your risk appetite or do not have the probability in terms of the return that your expectation is to reach for those goals, we cut those out. The important part in any investment plan is that we should ensure that there is adequate diversification in our portfolio and it is invested in two different asset classes. And the reason, very simple reason why we should ensure that we are diversified in terms of our investment portfolio is because the diversification helps us tide across various market trends and conditions. And this well diversified financial plan will then help me reach for my own financial goal. Once you create a financial plan, it is also important that I stick to it. We should remember that not all instruments will perform as per our expectations at all times. For example, there will be a degree of, let's say, equity or equity-related instruments that you would be investing into. Now, we know that the basic nature of equity markets is volatility. They will be volatile. And this volatility may impact my investment decision or investment choices for some time. But remember that if you researched adequately, you've chosen thoughtfully basis, whatever research that you've done, then it also becomes important that I stick to my plan, unless, of course, something that you think is fundamentally wrong in that decision. And in hindsight, you realize then it's different. But otherwise, stick to your plan. Don't let the short-term market swings deviate you. Stay invested, stick to your plan, because that's probably, if you've done your research well, that also is the best probable for you to reach that goal. That is why you've chosen that investment asset class and investment instrument. So sticking to your plan is also very, very important. At the same time, what is also very important is that I should not be too rigid. I need to be flexible. I need to keep my eyes and ears open. If there is any new contradictory information which has come, which makes me think that my investment choice in terms of asset class or investment vehicle that I had chosen is currently not the best one, then I should be very, very open to rethink on my investment choices and make relevant changes. A lot of times I have observed this, that, because I have made a decision, I think that, no, this is still the best. And I stay on in spite of new contradictory information. And that can hurt my portfolio. So be flexible, stick to your plan. Yes, the first thing is I should give each investment choice made sufficient run. But if there is contradictory information which is coming, then I should also accept that I did not factor this information. Now that this information has come to me, this may impact my investment portfolio. And in order to cushion the impact, I may have to make certain changes. So I will. Because eventually what is most important for me is reaching my goal. So whether that works by sticking to my plan or making changes as required, I need to do it, because the journey may be something which I may enjoy, but is the destination which I love the most. That is my financial goal. So I should never forget that. And I should always keep that in mind, because that's where I want to reach, when I'm able to use my money for the purpose that I thought of. That is what gives me the most pleasure. So be flexible whenever the requirement is. And lastly, to summarize, I'm just going to put some points back to you. Set your goals, check your financial status, do your research, stick to your plan, but if need be, don't be too rigid. Please, please, please be flexible. This is what I had for all of us. I hope that through this session, I've been able to showcase these simple steps that can help us all create a financial plan effectively. And there is a certain easiness that you would see, that it is something which, you know, I can do, I should do, and I can follow these steps to achieve my future financial goals. Be more than happy to take your questions and queries and respond to each one of them before we end our session today. So there's a question which has come: how should I devise a home budget plan? Okay, uh, which heads to be allocated for and how much? Now, a home budget is something which will be different for different people, right? But you should look at how much are you spending on your daily essentials, how much are you spending in terms of if you have staff, how much are you spending on your staff, uh, how much of an expense is going in, getting things, or your light bill is how much, your telephone bills, all of these are part of your home budget, right? You should know how much you're spending in these. What percentage. It's very difficult to give you a number because each household may have a different number. uh, you know and you need to look at it yourself first. If you put everything down, that's the first and the most crucial step, because then you'll know that do you really need this or you don't, or are you spending more than what you should be. And then you'll start looking at how should I cut it down. So how often are you eating out, where are you eating, how much are you spending on your eating out. All of this will come over there, and you may think that I am eating out every third day, and this is the kind of money that I'm spending. I don't think that's a great practice. Not being judgmental, just giving you certain ideas. You may think that I should change it, and you may think that no, we will eat out only once a week. That saving will come only post you analyze. So just start noting it down. What percentage? I'm not going to comment on that because that's something which can be very different for each one of us. Anyone, any more questions and queries, please feel free to ask. But thank you for the question. It was a very interesting question. I hope I've given you certain guidelines which you can start looking at. It's very personal, so I'll not give you the percentile number over there. Once again, if anyone has any queries or questions which you would like me to respond to, please feel free to put it in the chat, and I will respond to all your queries and questions with regards to our discussion today. Okay, I guess no more questions from you. I hope that this session has been of help, like I said before also, and helps you, do these steps either yourself or with an expert, but helps you do these steps to ensure that you are better planned for your future financial requirements and goals. Once again, thank you very much for your time. As usual, it was a pleasure, and we'll connect again in the coming months with more such interesting topics. Till then, do take good care of yourself. See you. Bye-bye.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.